How are you, sir? Is that? Oh, I can't go now. Right.
Okay, so let's do it just you and me because I think in the recording is gonna be perfect, and then we can edit it and we can post it like this. Okay.
Sure.
So, my friend, let's go. Could you please, for the last time, introduce yourself for those who are watching the recording in the future?
Hello, everyone. Hi, my name's Sam. I'm an English teacher from Manchester, England. I've been a teacher for 20 years and I taught in Thailand for most of my life.
Thailand. Okay.
I taught in Thailand for around 14 years, 15 years. I worked as a teacher in Brazil for a year and 4 months.
Okay.
And I also worked as a teacher in Dubai, and I've been in England for 5 years, and
Okay.
currently from the UK.
So you've lived in Thailand and you've lived in Brazil. So can you speak Portuguese
Uh,
and the language which is spoken in Thailand?
okay, because muito linda.
Okay. So no, just the right sentences, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, in 2009. Don't be offended, Brazilians, please.
No, we won't. So where did you live in Brazil?
I lived in Rio in Santa Teresa.
Santa Teresa. Okay.
Strangely, I know this is quite unusual, but I was actually working in Sao Paulo in a place called Mito Callan School on Brooklyn Road in Sao Paulo. So I used to live in Rio,
Really?
get a bus for 6 hours to Sao Paulo, and I would,
Okay.
yeah, and I would stay in Sao Paulo for like the weekend, yeah, and then go back to Rio. Yes,
Wow. So that's crazy. So every a week you would spend 6, 7 hours going to São Paulo, back and forth, São Paulo and Rio.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. So you worked in Brooklyn. It's next to my house actually. So a lot of business people over there, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So being a teacher for so long, can you tell us like the good practices of an English learner? Can you tell us like two or three things that makes a person to be a good, learner?
Yeah, I would say one of the most important things is reading in English. A lot of people, they learn English and they have teachers and stuff, but they're always reading in their own language. I absolutely guarantee that if you constantly read in English every day, your English will improve massively. Um,
Hmm.
it is very obvious to me when a person reads a lot, because you can see it from their vocabulary, their knowledge of grammar, because when
Hmm.
you're seeing the grammar again and again and again, you know
Uh-huh. So
so
you are indirectly learning the patterns of the language, yeah?
exactly. And even if you don't understand, everyone has to remember that English people don't know all the words we read. There's so many words in English.
Interesting.
We just guess. We just guess. So
The context.
yeah, exactly. Based on the
Hmm.
context. So that's my, the biggest piece of advice is to read in English every day if you can.
Awesome. We had a question here from one of our students, Elton. He asked, "What is the most challenging thing about understanding British people?" Because usually here in Brazil, we have a great amount of American culture being exposed to us, but not so much British culture. So some of us have a lot of difficulties in understanding a British person. Can you tell us like the most marking stuff on British English?
Well, the thing is with England, like America, is that we have very different accents. From,
Uh-huh.
as you know, Jada, you've been to Liverpool, you've been to Manchester. It's like a different world almost. The accents. So, but the biggest differences, the main differences between British English and American English is slang or pronunciation
Slang.
words like vitamins, tomatoes. There's a few others that they've not come to mind yet, but basically pronunciation of a few words, and also idioms. You know, we use slang.
Idioms. Okay. Got it. So what is your accent? Because you don't sound exactly like people in Manchester, do you?
I'm from Manchester. You know, if I'll be honest with you, I grew up in a Jamaican area of Manchester.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But I speak slightly differently to maybe some of the people around me because my mother is from London. My mother's French from the south of France, but she was
Really?
so my mom's from the south of France, but she was born in England. My family, half my family are from there, half are from Scotland, from the Highlands, and
Really?
so yeah. But my mother, she has a very posh London accent, so I think that's
Posh, like the RP
posh.
accent. Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, fancy, right?
and in
Good.
school, I used to sometimes get teased for having a posh accent.
Ah, really? That's why you speak more, more lightly nowadays, right? Okay. And in your opinion, what is the most difficult accent to understand? Because we've been to Liverpool and they have the h sound over there. They say chicken, right? It's crazy.
Yeah. You know, if you like the UFC, you know, you can see old Paddy, what's his name? Paddy the Baddy. He's very classic Liverpool, you know. What I would say is the hardest accent, I would say Newcastle is one of them. And Scotland as well. You know, if you go to Scotland,
Scotland, yeah.
they use a different language slightly in Scotland, many different words, you know. So,
Mhm.
say those places.
And you have learned Brazilians for a long time. You have taught Brazilians for a long time. So, what would you say are the most common mistakes Brazilians make when they're speaking English?
Okay, one of the things which Brazilians often do is they say they add the e sound, you know, where it shouldn't be there, like worky,
Facebook. Yeah, worky.
like that, you know. So they add the e sounds where they shouldn't be added. Basically, that's one of the things.
Okay, so about that, do you think that makes some people not understand what they're saying? For example, if a Brazilian, yeah, comes to like, I would you like it to work here? Do you think they would not understand?
No, I think that yeah, English people definitely understand. Yeah,
Okay.
but you know, it's just it's unusual because there's not really anyone else in the world that makes that mistakes other than Portuguese speakers, basically.
Really, I didn't know that. So that's basically Brazilians. Brazilians make this mistake. Interesting.
But you know,
Okay. Okay, can I just explain to the guys in Portuguese here? Pessoal, tô perguntando para ele qual que é um dos erros que os brasileiros cometem. Ele falou que o primeiro erro que a gente faz é colocar a vogal extra no final. Tipo, em vez de falar work, a gente fala worky, right? Em vez de falar Facebook, a gente fala Facebook. E aí eu perguntei para ele se isso compromete o entendimento, se o pessoal não entende. Ele falou que os ingleses te entenderão. Mas é melhor não correr o risco, né? Okay, Sam. So any other mistake that we make?
you say things like apple, like you know, you're not apple. So
We don't use the dark L. We say apple instead of apple. Got it.
so another one like you know, F. You know, when we say th, you say like Bluetooth. You say with the F.
Exactly. Yeah, we say think instead of think, right? Thank you instead of thank you. That's a big one too. What about this one? I know there are some accents in England which use the F instead of the th also, right?
Yes. You said using the F. Yeah. Well, in Manchester as well. To be honest with you, because
Mhm.
in the places in England which are more kind of working class areas of England, like the North
Mhm.
England, the people use more slang, like in Sao Paulo or in Rio, I guess. So
Mhm.
so that's true. Yes.
Man, I have a question that I don't know if you have the answer, but I always wonder this. Why is there so much difference between the accents of Manchester and Liverpool, for example? Because they are near cities, right? They're not so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think mainly because Liverpool has a very large. They're originally kind of Irish people, because they're near the docks. So you have lots of Irish immigrants in Liverpool, and this, has an effect on the accent. So that's probably what it is. Yeah.
Okay, that's why they have some guttural sounds, like they have the sound, right?
Sure, I imagine so. Yeah.
Got it. So if somebody is here and they do not know how to do the th sound, could you teach us? Because
Sure.
I've been trying to teach them, they don't learn, man. So we need a better teacher.
You need to put, your teeth and tongue
Like this.
with,
With. Exactly. Yeah. So it's not possible you have to really put your tongue out. You cannot be shy, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be lots, just a little bit, just
a little bit. Got it. All right, good. So we have more questions coming here. Sam, could you please tell us your Instagram? I know you have been posting a lot of things on your Instagram recently. So tell me your Instagram so I can tag you out here.
It's quite, sure. I've just opened the new one. Bear with me a second, please.
Ok, take your time.
Yeah.
Guys, então a gente tá falando de erros aqui, ele falou do TH, que os brasileiros não fazem um TH, né? A gente sabe que ao invés de thank you, a gente fala thank you de vez em quando. Ele falou também do dark L, eu falei pra vocês já esses dias, né? Por exemplo, ao invés de e-mail, a gente fala e-mail com som de OU. Esse foi um outro erro que ele falou que também rola, right? Vocês estão entendendo bem? Coloca aí nos comentários. Como que tá o entendimento de vocês? Enquanto o Sam traz aqui o Instagram dele.
Okay, so my Instagram is tsam.
Tsam.
IELTS and English. Underscore tips. So I can put that in the chat if you want me to.
Okay, yes, I think it's better, please.
Sure, 1 second, please.
Yes. Okay, I've been asking the guys if they understand what we're talking about here. They are okay. Yeah, you speak very clearly. That's good. Okay, Sandra is sending you a hug.
Hey.
Okay, have you sent here on the chat?
Sorry, 1 second, please. I'm just doing it now. Bear with me. You can ask me any questions in the meantime. I'll answer.
All right, so let's go to the next one. We have a question here. Vanya asked this question. Actually, this is something that we've talked about when I were in Manchester, because most part of Brazilians, they don't defer the pronunciation of ed in the regular verbs in the past, right? I remember you told me some of your students are not saying, for example, talked. They're saying talked, right?
Yeah.
So is that something that compromises in our understanding? Like, is that something big in terms of pronunciation?
I mean, if I'm honest with you, it's not big.
Okay.
Kind of that it compromises the understanding, but it's not correct. It's quite. Yeah, it sounds quite strange for an English speaker. So yeah.
Okay, so for example, the word talk in the past, the right pronunciation would be talked, right?
So talked.
Talked, yeah. Talked. Okay, good. And so basically there are 3 different pronunciations for the ed. Can you teach the guys this, please?
So for ed, yeah?
Yeah, for ed, exactly.
Sure, one second. So you want washed, for example, yeah? Forked. Let's think of the other one. Yeah, you could say like matted, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Which other one do you want to know?
Okay, basically we have one scenario where we can pronounce the vowel, right? When the word finishes in D or... Yeah, got it. Okay, this is a big stuff. This is a big thing. And it's crazy because I think we need a little time to put that into practice, because people, sometimes they know the rules, but it's like automatic. They just say the vowel because the vowel is written over there. So it's tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, another question that I have here, my friend. It's from Anna. Okay, it's a big one. So she says she started studying English in January. She has been studying 4 days a week, 4 hours every day, and she feels like she's having slow progress. She's not learning as much as she wanted to. And she asks if it's normal for a student to feel like they're having a slow progress. What do you think?
So she's been studying since January, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it takes time. It's not going to. Sometimes students, think it's going to just come like that, but January is, it's not very long ago. So basically, it does take time. It's only been a short amount of time. You know,
Mhm.
what happens is the time when you really know that you're starting to make changes, make improvements, is when you start to correct yourself as well. you know
Okay, that's a big one. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's because you know the rules. Maybe you were a little nervous and you slip, you make a mistake, but you know the right one, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when you start realizing or noticing yourself making a mistake, that's when you for sure you're definitely starting to improve, I would say, in my opinion.
Okay, cool. And Sam, I know that you were our favorite teacher over there, over in Manchester, because people loved you. Everybody wanted to go to your classes, and you had something different from other teachers because I think you were more understanding. You were funnier, of course. You always told us very funny stories. By the way, if you want to share a story of your life with us, that would be amazing because I remember we talked about ghosts, we talked about rap, a lot of funny topics, right?
Okay,
And yeah, go on.
I'm trying to think of a Brazil story. Oh, okay, I'll tell you a funny story from.
Okay.
Okay, I've got to be very careful what stories I tell, but
Don't worry. It's our secret. Nobody will know.
well, this isn't such a bad one. I remember in Brazil, it was my first night in Rio, and
Mhm.
we were going to a party, and I was being driven by a friend who I worked in a school with called Adriano. Maybe he's watching now. Who knows? Adriano. Hello, Adriano, if you're watching.
Hi, Adrian.
Suddenly, we went into a cul-de-sac, and suddenly, all of these rocks were just rolled in front of the car, and we were like, what's going on? And then all these guys started banging on the windows with guns, and then the
Ooh.
go, 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 and then we had to kind of drive over these rocks somehow, and push them out of the way, and yeah, and escaped.
Man,
Well,
that's great. So the drug dealers, the guys were throwing rocks at you.
these rocks were rolled in front of the car to stop the car leaving, so they could try and rob us.
Whoa, man! I mean that you could have. I mean, you could have died, man. That's crazy. Any other crazy situation like that in Rio? Because I know Rio is rough. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
I've
not the
robbed
whole.
many times in Manchester as a kid, but I think Rio is, Rio's the next level, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say Manchester is a safe city? It
Uh,
is, isn't it?
well, in Europe, it has one of the highest crime rates in Europe. Like,
Really?
oh sure, like in Europe, Bradford has the highest crime rate in Europe. Bradford,
What
it's
kind of crimes are we talking about? Like
like
cell phone stealing?
street, like kind of like street robberies. Like with people with masks and stuff like that. That's what happened to me when I was a kid. But it's all types of stuff. All types of stuff. But who am I talking to? I'm talking to Brazilians. You guys. So
Well, I have been robbed 4 times here in São Paulo in my whole life. I've been living here for 36 years and I've been robbed 4 times. Three of them, I had a gun pointed at me. It was crazy. Yeah.
once I had a guy come in Manchester, and they pulled up to me, and the window went down when I was 13, and they pulled a gun out on me, and they made me jump up, and they said, "You got any money?" And they heard the money in my pockets, so they
They
made
heard. How did?
jump up and down to hear the money in my pockets. And then
Okay.
one guy in the car, he felt bad for me because I was a kid, and he said, "Come on, just leave him, man. Come on, man, just leave it." And they went, all right, go home, go home."
Really? Ah, that would never happen in Brazil.
Yeah,
I remember I remember once I was robbed. There were three guys with guns pointing at me, and I were like, and they asked me, "Do you have some money on your wallet?" And I said, "Okay, I do," because I could not lie. If they found the money, they would, kill me. I just said, I do have some money, but it's to buy my grandmother some medicine because she's very sick. And it's not a lie. It is true. And one of the guys were he was understanding. He said, okay, I understand, I got you. But the other guy was like, no, fuck him, take his money. So
One Brazilian student, I'll tell you very quickly, a guy from Sao Paulo, and no offense anyone, I think he's from the more richer part of Sao Paulo, and
okay.
when he was in Manchester, he said, I'm from Sao Paulo, I'm never going to get robbed here. And I was like, oh, and then lo and behold, 1 week later, he got kicked off his bike and he got robbed.
Well, Europeans, they like robbing bikes, right? But bicycles is basically what they steal the most, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think to be honest with you, when you're a grown up, like you're a grown man, you don't really need to worry so much but it's when you're a teenager, as you know, like if you're a 13, 14, that's when you're at the kind of at risk in
Okay.
culture to the rest of Europe is different here, it's not pickpocket style. It's not like that here.
Got it. Man, one thing I noticed in Manchester, which I don't understand to these days, is there are so much gums on the floor around the city.
Sorry?
So much gums. Yes, on the floor, like stick to the floor. It seems like they chew gums, they throw them on the floor, and they step on it.
Probably, yeah. Sure.
Is that something that you are aware or no?
I didn't notice that, but I noticed there's a lot of dog.
Dog? Okay. No, but that's good. And what's your favorite place in Manchester to hang out?
I'll be honest with you. Chorlton, where I took you guys to. That I'm very lucky that my mum lived My mum lives next to Chorlton. It's a very bohemian, area.
Uh-huh.
I guess you could slightly compare it to Villa Maddalena. Not as cool as Villa Maddalena, but you could maybe compare it to that. In Manchester, it is definitely, that's the place, that's the way it's comparable. So I would say Chorlton is my favorite place because lots of beautiful parks as well.
Have you spent a lot of time in London as well?
I've been my grandma lived in London, so I used to go and visit her a lot. But I'll be honest with you, I don't really like London. Here's the difference between Manchester and London. I'm sure it's the same like in Brazil, is that if I was in the street in Manchester and I let's say I said, "Excuse me, mate, do you know the time?" People be like, "Sure, mate." It's they have time to talk to you because it's a northern thing, more of a Celtic culture type of thing, I guess. And but in London, someone might think, they might, just turn their back on you maybe, or be like, "Oh, get away from me." It's not as
they're not as friendly as people in Manchester. Yeah, it's the same here in São Paulo. We are always in a hurry, so people are not so friendly here. I understand. Yeah. Well, is there a beef between London and Manchester? People don't like each other?
Not so much in rapping. There is.
In rapping, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
The artists, but not so much. There is beef between Manchester and Liverpool, and there always will be.
Okay, I know this one. Why? What is the origin of this?
Origin. It's not about football or anything. That's kind of one thing, but it's about historically, Liverpool, because of the docks, used to get all the imports from around the world, and then Manchester was like, "Well, why do we need to use them? Let's make our canals." And then poor as a result, and then there's always this kind of rivalry between Manchester and Liverpool based on this a long time ago. And because you have different styles, but I love Liverpudlians, I love Scousers.
Okay, so you have lived between Rio and São Paulo for a time. So did you notice something like this? Because some people say it's not my case. I love cariocas, but some people say cariocas, people from Rio and people from São Paulo don't like each other so much. Did you
Uh,
notice that?
yeah, I've what I used to get, which was interesting, was whenever I was in. If I can be honest,
Yeah, yeah. Be honest, please.
I used my girlfriend was from Sao Paulo, yeah, and I would stay with
Okay.
her in Patriarca, if anyone knows that place, yeah.
That's real. Oh, East Zone. Okay.
So
Yeah.
and and I remember her parents used to say to me when I was in Rio, like, Sam, be careful, Rio, it's very dangerous. But I was like, I think Sao Paulo has some scary places as well, like
Sure,
public
sure.
that where we were kind of hanging out. And but I noticed, yeah, I think I won't say people said bad things about each other, but there's
Uh,
definitely a
Come
difference.
on. Be honest.
Yeah, really, really. People would just tell from Sao Paulo would just tell me Rio.
Be careful.
That's all. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. All right. So Rafa is here with us. He studied with you in Manchester, and he says you have the best his stories about ghosts.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you are a serious teacher. We know that, and sometimes when we talk about ghosts, people don't take you seriously, right?
Sure.
But you need to share some of those stories, man. Can you?
All right. Sure. Okay. So let me tell you something. Yeah. I, I studied zoology originally, so I'm a scientist.
Zoology.
My parents are scientists. Like I studied masters in English, all that stuff. But I'm a very logical man. Yeah. Now,
Right.
before this, first of all, here's one thing that happened to me in Brazil, and this was life changing.
In
I
Brazil. Okay.
I was on the beach, in Ipanema. I probably said it incorrectly.
Ipanema. Yeah, Ipanema.
You know how dangerous it is in Rio, and I was just floating. I was just in the sea, and suddenly I started to go back very fast. Yeah,
Okay.
and I was told. I remember seeing many people get saved by the helicopter and all that, and
Mhm.
I went past. First of all, I went past all the people, and then I was like, I was really scared, but because I was 25, 24, I didn't want to look like embarrassed in front of the beautiful ladies. I didn't want to go,
Okay.
you know,
Help me. Yeah, I got it.
pride, my pride took. But then I went past all the people, then past the surfers, and then I was screaming. But I was screaming, and oh my god, it's the scariest thing. Like I got took so far out past everyone, and I got
Wow.
wave came down on me, took me to the depths, like spinning to the depths. Yeah, I kind of had a bit of kind of a spiritual experience in the depths of the ocean in Brazil, where I kind of went unconscious and I kind of got woken.
Really?
Yeah, it was like it was pretty deep, but basically, if you want to know a ghost story, yeah, here's a
No,
ghost
no.
story.
Let me comment something about that. You
Sure.
have been near death many times in your life, haven't you?
But Brazil, I tell you something. I've had knives put to me in England when I was in Rio in the sea. That was the scariest thing in my whole life.
So what is the outcome of this story? How did you get saved?
I didn't. Basically, what happened to me was that when I was unconscious, I was like in my mind, I'm like, it's over. I'm done.
You
I'm
gave up. You said, okay.
inhaled water. I was like, felt myself on sea, and then something kind of was saying to me like, "This is not your time, Sam. This is not your time now. Wake up. It's a wake up, right?" And I basically woke up and swam, which seemed like for ages to the surface, and
Ooh.
and then when I came to the surface, I was calmed down. And then I eventually started to float back. I stopped swimming. I said, "Calm down, stop it." And I eventually
Okay.
took me like 20 minutes to get back to the shore. But when you climb in the movies where they climb onto the shore, like, it was literally like that. I was like, no.
Wow.
And I just lay there, and every time I used to think about it, my heart would go
Your
like.
hard places. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. So basically you stopped fighting against the water and the water saved you.
In a nutshell, kind of had a spiritual experience where kind of it felt like, and I'm not, you wasn't not a particularly religious guy before, but I felt
Mhm.
God was saved my life basically, and made me wake up and say, Sam, this isn't your time. Wake up, go to the.
Amazing. That's beautiful. What? Okay, let's talk about ghosts now.
Oh, all right,
Supernatural stuff.
okay, here we go. So ghosts. I lived in Thailand for a long time. You know, I kind of grew up in Thailand as an adult. Yeah. So
Okay.
I used to live in these apartments called Family Park Condo. And basically, these apartments used to be a place in the 90s and 80s where lots of criminals and drug dealers used to go there and do things. So lots of things have happened there.
Okay.
Sorry, Jada, what were you going to say?
No, no, I'm just nodding.
What happened was I was just coming out of the shower. I had a fish tank full of water, yeah, like a
Okay.
and my girlfriend at the time, who's my wife later, well, ex-wife, but she came out of the room, and at the same time we saw the whole fish tank fly across the room.
Whoa.
Like,
How many liters of water did you remember?
carry it, a man couldn't carry it on his own, I don't
Wow.
like about maybe 4 feet long, this thing, yeah,
Mhm.
flew across the room and smashed on the wall. And bear in mind, I've never seen any ghost stuff in my life. England's called the Isle of Spirits, and I've never seen anything until this day. It smashed on the floor. We had to put the fish into a smaller tank, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy!" But the icing on the cake, the scariest thing is,
The icing on the cake. Okay, that's a good idiom.
well, means that's the thing on top that makes it even more scary is that we were watching TV, and there was a mint on top of there was a packet of mints I didn't know on top of my cupboard, and one of them fell off. And when something bounces, it goes boing, 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 like
Ding, ding. Yeah.
boing, 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 like this, boing, boing, boing.
Okay, kept bouncing all the time.
But look, here's the proof. I'm telling you, when it was like this, and then my wife at the time was just like, "Listen, we need to leave. This is haunted. These apartments are haunted." But the
Ooh.
shit off. We left this apartment. 2 years later, when I was sat with my friends drinking downstairs, this guy comes up to me from Nepal and he says, "Excuse me, are you Sam?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And he goes, "Because I live in room 54 with my wife and child, and I heard you live there." And I was like, "Why? What is it?"
So he lived in the same apartment that you lived before.
And then he said, basically, he woke up in the night and him and his wife and his kids saw the refrigerator move across the room.
Ooh. Man, look, goosebumps too. That's crazy. Let me translate this story to the guys here. Galera, o sempre tá cantando de uma história que ele morava na Tailândia, no apartamento, e ele tinha um aquário gigante de peixe, e um dia o aquário se moveu, foi jogado na parede, e aí depois ele tinha uma balinha de menta que ficou pulando no chão, e aí ele saiu desse apartamento. Depois de um tempo, chegou um cara que morava nesse próprio apartamento, que morou depois dele, e ele falou que viu a geladeira se movendo sozinha. Loucura, né? Vocês acreditam nessas histórias? Coloca aí. Man, that's crazy. That's amazing. And how did you feel? Because, I know you are a logical guy, but seeing something that defies logic, it's crazy, isn't it?
Can I? Yeah, it does. But you know what? A final thing, which is not related to ghosts necessarily, but this is what me and my daughter saw 3 years ago, summer in England, is we saw three lights going across the sky like this, and they
Mhm.
go in a circle. Me and my daughter watched this together. You can ask her if she's here on a podcast. And then one by one, these lights went and stopped in the air, and then went up to the.
Man,
We were like,
I
"Oh,
do believe that. UFOs, man. Come on. They are among us, aren't they?
yeah," but saw that. So it just makes me open minded, and nothing surprises me anymore.
Good. That's nice. Okay, so man, let me ask you a last question. First of all, guys, don't forget to follow Sam on his Instagram account. Let me put here again. Okay, let me. Ta-da-da. But you know, Sam is a very nice guy. He teaches in a very light way, and he's very funny. So don't forget to follow him on his Instagram. Okay. One more question, my friend. I always ask because my podcast is called English from Zero, English from Scratch. And every time I interview somebody, I ask this question. So I'm going to ask you, if you are going to learn a new language today, let's say you want to learn Japanese, for example, what would you do? Because you know you have experiences with people who learn languages. What would you do from zero until you get a good, knowledge of the language? What would you do? What would be your steps?
What would be the first steps? Is you
Okay, sorry, two different scenarios. If you had money to invest on something, and if you didn't have money, just access to internet.
know, the first steps, if I was starting a language from scratch, is, and now this is going to sound like an unusual thing to say, but read children's books. Very
Okay.
very basic children's books, because, and also children's programs, because this might sound unusual, but Peppa Pig, for example, as we
I
all
always say that, bro. The Peppa Pig is amazing.
some people like really really improve from hardly anything, from just watching kids programs and reading children's books, and I've heard this many times from many different people from around the world.
Mhm.
So
Okay, but if you were going to learn Japanese, you would pick some Japanese shows and you would watch them.
yeah, perhaps, but just starting from the from the very very basics, just just starting to learn the basic structures of the language, and then kind of going from there, really.
Sure. Yes, you have to have the basics. Like you can use Duolingo app, maybe some apps which teaches the base of the language. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are asking here if if you use any toxics, if you
Toxics, what do they mean by toxics?
like drugs, like illegal stuff.
Dog.
Every time somebody tells ghost stories, people will ask this, like, is he high? Is he sober?
I was definitely. Oh no, no, okay, no. I was definitely. Honestly, maybe with the one of the, well, in Rio.
Uh, okay, sure. No, they're just kidding. Don't mind them. All right. So if
Drugs.
yeah, go on, repeat please.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't high on any drugs. Sorry.
Okay. And okay, if you had money to invest, to learn Japanese, what would you do? Would you go to Japan to spend a season there? Would you hire a private teacher? What would you do?
Which, yeah, I would just start first of all, with a private teacher, and
Mhm.
then if I wanted to immerse myself fully in the Japanese experience, then yeah, then maybe I would start studying at a school in Japan.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I do have a last question, but Sam, I'd like to thank you, man, for being here. You are always invited. Every time you want to come here, just send me a message. You're gonna be welcome because people loved you, and I loved you too. Come on. And I have a one last question because we're going as a group to London in September now, next September, and we're gonna spend 2 weeks there. What would you advise people to do during those 2 weeks to have a good improvement? Because you have experiences with that. What would you say, this person should do?
Based on how in London people aren't the most friendly.
Friendly.
But okay. What I would say, do you just mean just to have fun in general and just to see, the country and have a good
Yeah,
understanding?
like having fun and also learning more the language.
Sure. So, obviously visit some English like pubs, you know, because when you go to English pubs, you get to hear the different accents and the more working class accent, which
Uh-huh.
is which tests your listening skills, because not every
Mhm.
English person is going to speak like this to you. They're going to
Sure.
slang, and you have to adapt to that. There's no choice. So going to pubs, um, maybe going to some kind of theaters, to watch maybe some kind of performance where you will hear English in a very posh accent. Um,
Okay, that's a good one.
yeah. What else? I mean, London's so expensive. I never go there.
Man, I mean, you can't, let people down. Cheer,
Yeah,
cheer them up, cheer them up. Like London is amazing. London is
London. No, London is cool. It's cool. Okay, I would go to, because London is a place of many cultures. Like with
sure.
So remember, England is not like anywhere in Europe other than, say, maybe France is quite similar. So if you want to see, so you want to go to places like Brixton as well, and then you'll see
Okay.
English culture, then, and maybe you want to go to, you want to go to the parks as well, you want
Yeah.
to, um, what's the main park called in London?
Hyde Park. Hyde Park.
Park, you want to go there, because that's a big part of our culture.
Sure.
Time of year are you going to the UK?
September.
September.
It's going to be fall, I think, or spring.
Oh, okay, yeah. So September, that will be the weather should be good at that time. It should.
That's the goal. I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, London's such a big city with so many things to do. It's I've not been there for a long time, but go to visit my friend who owns a restaurant, Joe Johnson.
Joe Johnson. Okay, where is his restaurant?
Um,
Which part of the city?
it's called the Camberwell Arms, and I'll tell you.
Campbellville. Okay.
Uh,
Okay, Sam, thanks a lot for your time and thanks for this conversation. It was amazing. And I hope to have you here again in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jada. It's lovely to see you again. Thank you, mate.
See you. Bye bye. Have a good one. Guy, there you have it. E aí, gostaram da conversa com o nosso amigo Sam? Gente boníssima, né? Teve alguém que falou aqui que acha que a história parece mais terremoto. Não tem como. Porque terremoto, a balinha não ficaria pulando assim, né? Galera, there are ghosts among us. Come on. E aí, gostaram da conversa com o Sam? De vez em quando, guys, se vocês quiserem, a gente pode encontrar algum professor ou outro para trocar ideia. Eu acho que eu vou chamar o Sam para fazer um episódio específico sobre British English, né? Porque é um tema legal e ele tem um sotaque extremamente inglês, né? Porque ele é inglês, of course. Mas foi legal. Seguinte, se vocês quiserem, a gente pode pegar algum dia para analisar essas histórias do Sam to the letter, assim, no pé da letra, assim. Tudo que ele falou, de palavra a palavra, seria legal. O que vocês acham? Coloca aí nos comentários. E aí, coloca também a sua percepção. Quanto que vocês entenderam do que estava rolando aqui? Entenderam tudo, mais ou menos? Deixa eu ver que vocês estavam... Eu vi que vocês estavam com uma conversa paralela aqui. Eu tava curioso para saber qual que era. Pera aí. Eu sou do Rio, morei apenas 10 anos em São Paulo, fui assaltado uma vez no Rio e uma vez em São Bernardo. Concluo que São Paulo é mais perigoso. Gilberto... Calma. Em São Bernardo ainda, mano. São Bernardo é muito mais seguro que São Paulo aqui, em termos de segurança. Ok. Parece até meus sonhos. Eu não acredito em bruxas, mas que elas existem, ok. To me, it seems more like earthquakes than spiritual things. Kátia, eu não sei não. A parte da balinha foi convincente pra mim. 80, 70, 70, 80, legal, muito bem. Teacher, agora sua apoiadora, valeu, Kátia. Opa, depois eu vou te dar boas-vindas lá, obrigado pelo apoio, hein, tamo junto. Must be expensive. Sim, Londres é muito caro, guys, não tem jeito, ele tá certo nessa daí. Galera, tamo junto então, depois a gente analisa essas conversas aqui pra vocês saberem certinho o que foi dito, que caso vocês não tenham entendido. E tamo junto, sexta tamo de volta com Inglês com Música, combinado? Valeu, guys. Take care. Nos vemos na sexta. Um abraço a todos. Até mais e tchau. Música de encerramento. Valeu!